Blessed love and peace in Rastafari. This is just for the record. Been here for hours now. About to go home. It's late. It's dark. I need a wife that says, yo, time to go home. Time to take care of yourself. Time to eat. Stop being out here trying to be everything. My back tells me I'm carrying too much. My legs tell me I'm carrying too much. My elbow tells me I'm carrying too much. My kidneys tell me I'm carrying too much. But I'm saying this for the record to be as clear as possible as I can at this moment about what I just shared about an hour ago. I and I and I and I and I and I. Whilst I and I continue, I'm not going to say that. For the record, for those who have the interest, when it comes to Palestine and Israel, to be clear, the concern, the frustration is that the nation of Israel is imperialist. The Ummah is imperialist. China is imperialist. As it is, I'll say the Republic of China is imperialist. The Republic of India is imperialist. The African Union is imperialist. The European Union is imperialist. We already know all the contemporary nations of the Western Hemisphere, members of the United Nations, are imperialist. The United Nations is imperialist. So, across the board, that's what it is. If anybody wants to accuse I and I of picking sides and being biased and prejudiced, the frustration is that the imperialist nature of the state of Israel is well known. That's not even about much of a dispute about that. So the ruthlessness or the general ruthlessness and all the other things is generally well known. People avoid it, people don't want to talk about it or otherwise, but it's generally well known. The frustration is within the Ummah or concerning the Ummah, taking or feigning that notion of being victims when it's just as imperialist. And it's not excusing anything that the state of Israel does, but taking that victim side when it's just as imperialist. That's what's BS. And is doing the same thing that LGBTQ does in the past generation, taking that platform of victimization as a way of gaining leverage within the imperialist system of the United States. And that's what's BS, and that's what's evil, because the Ummah knows better. It's not even should knows better, it does know better. And when the Ummah solicits people into that game, that's what's concerned, and that's the responsibility for believers to call that out, to warn the Ummah about that, for the Ummah's sake. May the love of Allah, may the love of Hashem, may the love of the Most High Elohim be with all beings. The Western Hemisphere is a pirate ship. It's enveloped in imperialism and genocide of the native kinfolk of this land. Anybody who pretends to be an activist, environmentalist, social activist, socialist, whatever, let go of your citizenship. Forsake your citizenship and build honestly. We don't need technology. We don't need the things that imperialism provides. Technology just divides being from life. We don't need charity. We don't need a handout. We don't need money. What civilization needs is for civilization to identify where civilization agrees to not impose civilization, not impose the pollution, not impose the devastation, the hypocrisies, and additionally to identify where those refuges are, just like animal refuges and nature reserves, to identify those pockets of the earth, those places of the earth where the world system says, yo, okay, we're going to stay away from here. We're going to preserve this. And not only that, beyond that, people, beings, humanoids are able to live in those places generation after generation without the world system gleanings and influence. So otherwise, it's all imperialism. It's all imperialism. Even native imperialism that buys into it and colludes with it. And additionally, all the nations that have the nations, and I say that with the interest of native sovereignty, but people call out nations, people call out being kings and queens without the actuality of that, because a true nation is not subservient to another nation. A true nation isn't dependent upon another nation. The same thing with kings and queens and sovereignty. So otherwise it's just collusion with the imperialism and just kind of finding one's position within that hierarchy. So the criticism, the truth, it's not even criticism, the truth applies to all. And the challenge is how people, the pretenses and the pretendings that people do in soliciting other people's involvement when people have the responsibility and the knowledge of doing better and doing right. So that's where the frustration is. So anyways, I'm uncertain how much that clarifies things for kinfolk. And anyways, those kinfolk who call out admonishments to whatever I communicate generally don't have an interest in things being clear anyways, and just want to utilize whatever option, whatever material there is just to further accusations and everything else like that. But kinfolk also have an awareness that it's going to be very difficult to call stuff out on I because it's solid. It's beyond I. So the youth, that's where it is. And at this point, to be honest, ain't much banking on the youth either, because the youth that have a knowledge about this tend to be quiet or are already there. The youth that are learning and are getting loud or enveloped or swayed, it's tough going. The youth that are already corrupted, that's the game. There's always propensity for redemption, but there's less that whole trope of like relying upon the prospects of the youth. It's beyond that point, and it's not even about that at this point. That's not the redeeming thing. That's what the corrupt rely upon. We do see the methodologies being fueled at the moment by some youthful vigor, and we see that's one other frustrating thing, like the arrogance of the youth, not having respect for elders, presuming to have answers and telling elders what's what. That's part of the challenge and frustration of dealing with conditions. It's also part of the methodology of provocation as well, so we're mindful of that. But yeah, now there's masses that are ready and waiting and prepared for accepting responsibility and guiding through the turmoil. Elders, youngsters, middle-aged kinfolk as well, and we're humbled and encouraged by that. It's beyond calculation, it's beyond prediction. There are cats in the caves, cats in the field, cats in the sun, cats in the ice, cats in the desert, cats in the mountains, cats in the fields, cats in the forest, cats on the seashores, cats on ships, cats on islands, all them chinks around the world. don't even speak the same languages. Ready, prepared, quiet, off the radar. So we thank I for the divine plan, the divine grace that I continues to manifest from the Most High. I'm listening to the trees, the roots, the soil, the wind, the insects that are growing louder as the air grows warmer here on the northern hemisphere. The Midwest, the big lakes, the gathering of fresh waters of the western hemisphere, the northern hemisphere. I'm listening to the drone of the engines, the motors, the exhaust, the smiling green lights, the glaring red lights, the benign yellow lights, the inoculation and the inclination. The ubiquitous blue-black of the high sky, the continuing eternal green of the leaves amidst the seasons, the brown, gray skins of the branches, the red bricks, and bright smiles of tripping tongues and late nights and times to say, yo, peace and blessings. All thanks and praise to the Most High, peace and blessings.